Okay, so this is a video on how to solve or answer the questions they're asking you for the lesson 3 exit ticket. And this is module 1. This is ratios. And I'm going to go ahead and read this so you can follow along with me. Again, please remember that these are different values than what is going to be in the actual exit ticket. So this is, I really should label this as a exit ticket example, because it's not really the actual exit ticket. People were getting confused with this. They didn't realize it was an example, and I would do one of these and they would go, oh, yeah. I can take all these numbers and I can plug it right into the exit ticket, and now I've got the answer. No, this is an example so that if you do the same process and the same operations, you should get to the correct answer for your exit ticket. But we've changed, as you can see, I've literally erased it, and I've changed the numbers, the values, the quantities. So let's go ahead and read what we got. We have Pam and her brother. Pam and her brother both opened savings accounts. Savings accounts are where you store money that you do not intend to spend. And that's important because as we read this, it keeps in the same ratio of 3 to 6 because it's a savings account. So they're not taking money out, they're just saving money. If this is a checking account, we wouldn't be able to answer any of these questions because a checking account, most people are taking money out of that account as well as getting money put into it. So it's constantly changing, but money's coming out and money's going in. In a savings account, money should just be going in because you're saving it. You're not spending it. So let's make sure we understand that. So Pam and her brother both opened savings accounts. Each begin with a balance of $0, okay? For every $3 that Pam saves in her account, her brother saves $6 in his account. If you don't understand what I just read, or you're having trouble picking out some key information, I would pause the video, rewind it, and listen to me read it again. I'm going to highlight now using a highlighter. I'm just doing different things when I kind of annotate the exit ticket. I'm not going to annotate it in the same way every time because I want to give you different ways of annotating it. And you use the way that makes the most sense to you because I use different ways depending on what kind of activity is. I don't have one single way. So Pam and her brother open savings accounts. Each begin with a balance of 0. 0 to 0, that would not be a ratio per our definition of ratios. So for every $3, okay, that Pam saves, her brother saves $6. Okay. So right there, it actually gives us a ratio. It doesn't say there are $3 in Pam's account and $6 in her brother's account. It says that for every $3 that Pam saves in her account, her brother saves $6 in his account. So now they want you to determine a ratio to describe the money in Pam's account to, and let's go ahead and define that to real quick. That's our colon, right? Just to make sure you know that. To the money in her brother's account. So we know that this is going to be the first number in the ordered numbers. This will be the second number in the ordered numbers because there is the description that they already give us. Pam's account, okay, Pam's account, her brother's account, So the ratio, we're really just taking Pam's, okay, and we're going, okay, Pam's account, P is Pam's account, the 2 will bring down the colons here. Her brother's account is B for brother. And we'll go ahead and take his $6, plug it in right over on this side. So we have 3, 2, 6. 3 to 6. And we know that that is the ratio because this is our first number, because it matches with Pam's account, $3 that Pam saves in her account, and her brother's $6 in her brother's account. 3 to 6. Okay, that should be pretty easy. We're going to move on. Now it's going to get a little bit more complicated, and this is where I want you to do one of two things. You can either set up a tape diagram. So you can say, all right, well, Pam had $3 in her account, okay? So that's Pam's account. It's filled with $3. And maybe we'll zoom in and we'll label that. We'll label this Pam's account. Make sure there's an arrow there. And then I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and do another set of boxes. Now, the brother's box is actually twice as big. Oops. The brother's box is going to be 2 times the amount trying to copy this. 2 times all right, so I should have 2 times the amount of Pam's account, because her brother has 3 and then another 3. Ooh, I didn't want to do this. 3 and then another 3. So her brother's account is actually equal to 6. And Pam's account is equal to 3. Okay, and let's make sure that we've labeled this brother's account. So the deal is now, though, that Pam's account has increased to 60. So now we have to erase this, because if we see here, Pam has increased her bank account to 60, okay? So she used to have $3, now she has $60, okay? So this is like kind of like the low amount of math operations, okay? Because you can now just kind of plug into the pictures using this method. So we just took the 60 from there and put it into there. And just like what we did before, what we did to the top, we also have to do to the bottom, okay? So there's 1 square, okay? And that was equal to 60. Let's put dollars because that's what it is. And then we know that Pam's brother's is no longer going to be 6 because Pam's brother's account is always going to have more money in it than Pam's account. And let's just take a look back at what we saw before at the 3 to 6. If you can see, we have 2 boxes because her brother's account is twice as much as hers. Hers is 3, his is 6, twice as much. And so now that we have brother's 2 boxes here, we're going to plug in, okay, just like we did before, we're going to plug in the amounts. So what we did to the top here with Pam's account, we have to do to the bottom here with brother's account that is twice as much as Pam. So Pam has 1 square, brother has 2 squares because it's twice the amount of Pam's. So we'll go ahead and put in 60 and 60. So then we get $120 if we add that up. Okay, so that's pretty nice and neat. Now let's take a look at how we can do that using a ratio table. So I'm going to actually create another box here. And this will also allow you to create an equivalent ratio. So we're just going to make a little T-chart here. Doesn't have to be nice and fancy, doesn't have to be perfect. And you can just make some squares. And then the first thing we want to do is we want to get in Pam's account on one side. And we'll make sure to make that in blue for Pam. That's what we've kept hers in blue. And then brother will be red. And we'll use a B. And then we'll plug in what we have for brother. Okay? Or excuse me, what we have for Pam. And we'll do that with the actual ratio that they gave us first. So we'll come back over here and we'll just plug in these numbers. So I'm literally going to take this and it'll go right here. And the same thing, we'll make sure that we have this over here. And then we can take the other information that we have and plug that in. So we know that Pam's account is now worth $60. Okay, and we still, though, we don't know what brother's account is worth yet, and that's what we want to figure out, okay? So it says, what do we got? If we have 3 turning into 60, we're asking ourselves, what did we do to get from 3 to 60? Okay, it wasn't division. It's either going to be division or multiplication. It will not be addition or subtraction. You will not use addition or subtraction for the equivalent ratio tables. You're going to have to figure out, is it division that I'm going to use, or is it going to be multiplication? So you can do this different ways, and I'm going to go over those different ways just so that you can use whatever one gels well with you, whatever one works for you the best. So the first step is we have 3 to 60. We can either say, okay, what do we need to get from 3 to 60? It's not going to be division, obviously, because 3 is smaller than 60, so we're going to have to multiply to make 3 bigger. We know that there's a relationship between 3 and 6. 6 is twice the amount of 3. So we could literally say, okay, well, if we multiply 3 by 2, so if we said, okay, 3 multiplied by 2, that would equal 6. Now we're just missing a 0. So if we add a 0 onto the thing that we're multiplying 3 by, it makes it 20. And so now we know that if we add that 0 back in, 3 times 20 is 60. And we could also see that by just like skipped counting by 20, right? You can see that if you skip count by 20, that you get to 60. And so that is literally 20, 1, 2, 3 times. So 20, 40, 60, okay? I don't want to go too much more into that, although I know some people, will still struggle with that concept, and that's okay. We'll work with you on that one. So if we multiplied 3 by 20, what we do to one side, we must do to the other if we want to find out the correct answer. So we'll go ahead and do that now. We'll multiply 6. We won't erase anything. We'll multiply 6 by 20. And if you multiply 6 times 2, you will get 12. And then you can add that 0 back in that you left out, and it'll give you 120. So now we can see that brother's account has $120 if the sister's account or Pam's account has $60. And we can actually look at the tape diagram to confirm this. We can say, hey, Pam has one little piece of tape, right? Whereas her brother has 2 pieces of tape because her brother's account is twice as much. So you could also just say, well, what is 6 times 2? 6 times 2 is 12. Add in the 0, we have 120, so brother must have 120. So as you can see, there are many different ways that we can do this, okay? Now, we're going to use this table, okay, in question 4. So we're going to leave it here, kind of look at it, but we want to record the equivalent ratio because that's what number 3 is asking. And record the equivalent ratio. It just means write down the ratio. The question above was asking you to figure out how much money the brother has in his account. So all you have to answer is 120, okay? You don't even need to put dollars, just put 120. That'll be fine. Obviously, it's not going to be 120 on our exit ticket because our exit ticket uses the ratio 2 to 5, not 3 to 6. So please pay attention to that. When we record the equivalent ratio, guys, all we're doing is we're just saying, okay, 120 is equivalent to saying 60 to 120. Or, quite simply, P to B, Pam's account to her brother's account. That's all that's saying. Now, create another possible ratio that describes the relationship between the amount of money in Pam's account and the amount of money in her brother's account. All you need to do is find another equivalent ratio using the ratio table up here. So we could actually find, we could do something really easy, like just if we doubled this, if we times this by 20 already, what happens if we took away the zeros here, right? And we just said, okay, let's not times by 20, let's just times by 2 instead. And we did that actually, and we add the zeros back in. So let's go 2 times 3 is going to be equal to 6. And then 6 times 2 is going to be equal to 12. So it is just literally 1 place value less or 1 power of 10 less than our other answer, but it is equivalent. And so we can actually record that. So we can just say 6 to 12. And that is an equivalent ratio. And that's really all it's doing. And if you kind of look at this, it follows that same thinking. You could even say, hey, well, let's get down to the most simplest form of this ratio here. So let's do some division. Let's divide 3 by 3. If we divide 3 by 3, we're going to get 1. What we do to one side, we have to do the other. So we're going to divide 6 by 3. What happens when we divide 6 by 3? We get 2. So the ratio is 1 to 2. So you could also put 1 to 2. You could get the same thing here if you divided 6 by 6, and 12 by 6. It would equal this. Not going to put too much more into this. I'm going to stop it now, and hopefully this helps.